This is a famous pair of statues, Harmodius and Aristogeiton, often known as the tyrannicides, and they were famous for killing a tyrant in Athens and thus allowing democracy to take root there. Except that's not really the case. They did assassinate someone in 514 BC, but it wasn't the tyrant, it was his brother. And they didn't do it as part of an act to midwife a new political system. They did it as a point of revenge because Harmodius' sister had been insulted by the tyrant's brother. And just as an aside, in terms of dates, this happened in 514 BC, and the reforms of Cleisthenes, which are where many argue the earliest form of democracy in Athens occurred, well, that happened in 508 BC, so there's several years in between those two events. But Athens really pushed this narrative. These two were afforded a statue in the Agora, and there was a hero cult of them. So why then did Athens want everyone to believe that these two had set the fire or set the spark of democracy? Well, there's probably a couple of good reasons. The first one is that it's just a good story. If you think about it, you've got a pair of Athenians who've risen up against a tyrant and paid the ultimate price because they were both killed as a result. So in that sense, it gives democracy, which was formed out of a series of really complex, smaller events, a nice, easy story. It's a good sell. The second reason might be because it neatly sidesteps a really awkward, perhaps even embarrassing thing for the Athenians. And that was that the tyrant Hippias was driven out. In 510 BC, he was driven out of Athens, but it wasn't by Athenians. It was by Spartans. Yeah, it's a complex one, so I can't really go into it too much on here. But you can imagine how embarrassing and awkward that must have been in the 5th century BC. So having the foundation myth with these two characters kicking out the tyrant and therefore leading democracy neatly makes things a bit more simplistic, but also excludes the Spartans, which can only have been a good thing for the Athenians. One final point is that the version of events that Athens sold wasn't fully believed. Thucydides, for example, the famous Athenian historian, calls the Athenians kind of stupid, really, for believing this in the first place versus what had actually happened. Don't forget, if you like this kind of content, click follow.